Hey, this is Angelo with some updates and a few things to share, as well as a response to someone who chimed in on a recent YouTube posting that I had put up. So that's some good stuff. It's great to see that people are watching and actually getting some responses. So, a few things I wanted to get out there real quick before I went out into the day and kind of got things started out there. A beautiful time of year here in Portland, Oregon, where the springtime is really in full bloom. We're getting some rain, but we're getting some nice warm weather, some showers. All the flowers are starting to come out. I guess the downside, if you're looking for a downside, is that the allergies and hay fever are there a little bit. A lot of people get it worse than others. Some people get it worse than others. For me, it's just kind of middle of the road this year, not so bad. So feeling pretty good, feeling pretty positive. Seizures still persisting for me on a daily basis, so I'm kind of linked to taking some of those benzodiazepines, and yeah, that's how you say it. Now I learned I used to say benzodiazepines, but I looked it up and it's benzodiazepines. So maybe it's a banana thing, but benzodiazepines is how I'm going to say it henceforth. Anyways, working real hard for the National Brain Tumor Society fundraiser. We have a Portland March coming up on August 7th, which is a Sunday. And right now, our team has managed to achieve 4% of our goal of, actually, I'm sorry, 9% of our goal of reaching $15,000 by August 7th. So that's great news. So I'm all chipper. Sorry, I'm all chipper. I am, though. Not really sorry, because feeling chipper is great. Unless we're talking about the movie Fargo, then nobody wants to feel chipper. Little joke there. Anyhow, back to seizures and epilepsy and brain tumors, all that fun stuff. I'm going to put a link up here again to encourage anyone and everyone to join my team and to be a part of the National Brain Tumor Society, which is a 100% not-for-profit 501c3 organization, which means that all the money generated, I should say, is not for profit. It all goes to help funding education, research, and ultimately a cure for brain tumors of all sorts. And as I've mentioned many times on these video installments, I personally have an oligodendroglioma stage 2. Not the worst type of brain tumor I could have, despite some of the downsides to it, which are chronic epilepsy, regressive seizures, I should say, left brain tumor. I go in for scans, MRI scans, every 3 months to check on it to see that there's no change in the size and location of the tumor. So it has maintained onto the left hemisphere of my brain and no noticeable size differential, which is good news. My neurologist and oncologist that's on call. He's an on-call oncologist, apparently, because I haven't gone to him yet. I am staving off that opportunity or lack thereof to go have radiation and chemotherapy treatment, which is recommended if you end up going down this road. And from all that I've heard, there is not a cure in sight, so I should start considering these things. Along with the epilepsy and loss of feeling on my right side, I'm also experiencing pain on my left side for the overcompensation of some of that nerve feeling loss. So sciatica on the left side. Some of the medications that I was on, such as the Depakote, which thankfully I'm no longer on, caused higher levels of ammonia in my blood, which can cause trouble for the kidney, liver, the kidney especially, as far as I understand. Anyhow, I wanted to, besides encouraging you to join up for Team Brew Public and to join us either for the march on Sunday, August 7th at noon from Pioneer Courthouse Square in downtown Portland, Oregon. There's marches all over the country, so if you're not in Portland, you can check braintumor.org to go to the website, click on the events page, and see all of the different events, past and future. The Portland one happens every year so far in August. So I wanted to thank Jennifer Prentice, the West Coast manager of the NBTS, the National Brain Tumor Society, for all of her hard work. I know she's involved in a lot of other charitable organizations, like helping to find a cure for ALS. And goodness, there's a lot of causes out there that require focus and attention and need funding. And I chose the National Brain Tumor Society because I have a brain tumor and I'm epileptic, and I figure I could make an impact on something that impacts me. So, and the people that I've met, there's a lot of great people that I've met through this. Anyways, I got some responses from a lady named Nicole Tran. I'm assuming it's a lady because her name's Nicole. Her first comment was from a couple of days ago. It's actually a two-parter. So, first part, she says, "Been watching and wishing you luck." Thank you. I have 2 tumors myself, melangioma and some other thing we haven't really figured out yet. I wanted to ask you a few questions if you have time. Of course I have time. Nothing but time. If not, it's okay and I understand. Well, I have time. So, Nicole, thank you for contacting me. It means so much. She says, after a little smiley face, which I like, nice to see her being positive. "In the first year, did you have nightmares at all? I'm asking because other people with tumors seem so strong to me. I felt like I was weak." Let's see, it says read more. Let's see. "I feel like I was the weak one, always breaking down. I still do. Crying, nightmares, bad thoughts, and doom are just flowing. Sorry. It's hard to focus. My second question, how do you find the strength to keep positive before major tests such as MRIs? Thank you. Sending love to you and your family." Well, it really means so much, again, Nicole, for your message. It encourages me, and it makes me hopeful and optimistic, and it helps me to feel a kinship to people who are experiencing similar issues in some ways. I know we probably have different symptoms to a degree, or different degrees of the same symptoms. But and I'm sorry that you have 2 tumors. That's tough, especially when I know that we have different types of tumors. And the fact that your other tumor, they're not sure of what it is yet, that's got to be tough, not knowing. For me, when I had my brain biopsy, they took a little piece of brain out. I noticed the size of the mass in my head and had a CAT scan and an MRI, and they didn't know what it was, so they had to biopsy me. Well, they didn't have to, but I elected for that. And the time waiting was about a month before I knew exactly what type of creature or tumor it was in my head. And I always think of Stephen King, the book based on the novel The Dark Half, where they open the guy's head up. One character who's the bad guy and one who's the good guy, sort of this Jekyll and Hyde, and there's an eyeball in the head looking out. I'm like, did they find an eyeball? But seriously though, the waiting is the hardest part of it all, like Tom Petty says. And I was worried, but I was optimistic. I think the key to all of this is just optimism and coming to the conclusion on standing on the grounds that no matter what happens, there's some things that are beyond my control, And then there's other things that I do have great control over, like my attitude, my ability to get back up every time something goes wrong, and to fight like hell against things that are unjust and things that are not good. So this being one of them, I'm fighting for my life just like you are, and I really appreciate your honesty and being frank with your feelings. And you know, I have to say I'm scared as hell a lot of the time, despite my uh, optimism and smiling posterior. Is posterior your outside, or is it just your butt? I think it's your outside. But my outside, where I present myself, I like to smile. I like to show optimism. So, um, I understand your fears, absolutely. And I understand the feeling of fear, not your particular fears. And so, I have to say, Nicole, that to your first point about nightmares, I do have some crazy dreams. Sometimes these dreams are probably because I used to have crazy dreams whenever I'd eat like sugar before bed. I noticed that before even my diagnosis. Like, so going to bed after taking in a bunch of carbs, that for me, and sugars definitely lead to wild dreams, because from the research and understanding that I have, um, you exert a lot of energy and your mind is very active when you're sleeping, especially once you get to that point of the rapid eye movement phase of your sleep, when you're really working inside of your body. Your body's, heart's beating, your brain's moving, your lungs are breathing. You're definitely very active, and there's a lot going on there. So nightmares, yeah, there's a lot of fear and anxiety that I feel. I think a lot of that comes to light during the day. I mean, some of the nightmares I have, I think, could be physiological, because I'm on benzodiazepines. I take those for the seizures that I have, because sometimes the seizures escalate to a point that the only thing that will probably keep me from going into a grand mal seizure is taking Ativan. And sometimes when I'm just shaky all day long and I feel like, man, I could just bust into one, I take clonazepam or Klonopin. And these drugs are, like I said, benzodiazepines, which also include Xanax, which I'm not on, and some others. It's some funky, not so good drugs in the long run. Like, I would never recommend taking these recreationally by anybody, abusing them in that way. They're controlled substances. So I think these have an impact either when I'm feeling withdrawn from them, because they are physically addictive, or you can develop a dependency on them. And now I'm not sure what part of me is feeling dependent, what part of me is actually um, completely benefiting from these medications. And I'm very self-aware. I'm very mindful of the power of medication and Western meds, and I try to limit Western meds to as little as I possibly can, because I think that these can have a significant effect on me and people who are going through issues such as you and I. Another thing that I think helps me to stave off the nightmares that I have, the fears, the anxieties that maybe I tuck down during the day and then they come out at night, and when I'm dreaming or sleeping, having trouble going to sleep, is that I deal with the fears and nightmares and the recognition of my condition, headlong during the day. I speak to a therapist once a week, and there's no shame in that. Like, I have a great therapist that I talk to. I've been to many physicians and therapists attempting to find the right ones. I've been to several neurologists. I've been on several cocktails of meds trying to find the right one. And I think the key is to just not give up, to keep going back and trying trying to keep the healthiest approach. I like the naturopathic approach, which means for me that the best uh, food is the best drug of all. So eating a healthy, somewhat low carb diet, keeping the sugars down in my diet, um, staying away from like sweets and processed sugars and glucosamine, staying off alcohol, all the things that you can do. A ketogenically minded diet, but I know firsthand to don't jump into a ketogenic diet full on if you are not being guided by a physician, or you are not a physician yourself and don't know what you're doing, because there's a risk of going into ketoacidosis. Um, Keeping a ketogenically minded diet, like I said, is one that involves, keeping your carbs lower, um, eating a lot of high density fats that are good for you, like fish oil or avocado, lots of nuts, um, coconut, things like that. Those have always made me feel better, like a spoonful of coconut oil when I'm not feeling well. Now, these are things that work for me. I'm not saying that these will work for you necessarily, but a lot of people agree that these things work. And I think, again, going back to your comment about crying and nightmares and bad thoughts of doom that just continue to flow, mindfulness is one thing that can really help, and just getting those emotions out there and being able to talk about them with somebody that you trust, and somebody that is a professional therapist. For me, I've been very fortunate to have found somebody like that locally where I live here in Portland. And before that, I still found relief in um, doing videos like this, or talking to people that I trust, or letting it all out on my family, or people that really care, that are willing to put up with it. On top of that, I don't expect someone to just sit there and listen to me complain, because, like all things, everybody has problems. There's several people out there. There's 700,000 people in America that have brain tumors, and there's going to be another 70,000 more from the stats I've read. According to the National Brain Tumor Society, 70,000 more people are going to become diagnosed with brain tumors this year. So before you know it, there'll be 1 million people probably in America with brain tumors. So there's a lot of people that are going through this. You're not alone. We are not alone, and sometimes having a brain tumor can give you the ability to connect with people. There's a gentleman named Will Pye, Pye, and I've mentioned him before. He wrote a book called Blessed with a Brain Tumor. I recommend checking that reading. It really has helped me, and put into perspective some of the things that I already knew. When I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, I decided that I was going to become a more positive person, and I was going to fight harder for the things in my life that meant the most to me. It really put into perspective the things and the people that really matter to me. So the fear is definitely natural. Don't be ashamed of your fear. Some of the fear can be induced by the medications you're on, the brain tumors themselves. There's a lot of variables that go into having a brain tumor that you just don't know, like where it comes from. I mean, being afraid is natural. It's normal. Let yourself feel those things. But by the same token, don't let those negative thoughts and emotions control the whole of who you are. Learn from that, in a sense that you take that in, and how you choose to work with that is up to you. I think you still have control. The mind can control the brain. That's something I truly believe. I believe that your mindfulness is something that really matters, and I think that one thing that really helps for me, though I don't practice it enough, is mindfulness, which can also be referred to as meditation, breathing. Just taking some time out of your day to breathe, do some stretches, have an activity that feels rewarding to you. For me lately, it's been walking, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about, is that I got this Fitbit when I first was diagnosed for Christmas, these little things that track your steps. They also track your sleeping, and if you can also input your diet, they can tell you how you can input your weight. You can input a lot of things. What I just use it to focus on is the number amount of sleep that I get in the night, how many steps I do during the day, and it also tells me how many active hours or active minutes, I'm sorry, that I have. So it's easy to become obsessively compulsive with with a Fitbit, to just, get focused on it so much that it runs your life. Okay, I gotta go, I gotta walk. But I've kind of gotten that way a little bit. But it's been something that's been able to help fill my time, and it's helped me focus positively. And in fact, on Monday, I did the most steps that I've ever done before since having the Fitbit. And this has been, 2.5 years since my diagnosis, and got the Fitbit shortly after. So have all the stats on my Fitbit. It syncs to my phone through Bluetooth. I'm sorry, I forget. Blu-ray is yeah. See. So, anyways, last week was by far my best week. I averaged almost 18,000 steps. I wasn't even close. If I could hit 10,000 steps in a day, that was my goal. That's what the American Heart Association recommends that you get in a day. That's a little bit shy of, for a person my height, I think I'm 5'10" and 5'10 and a half, something like that. That's about 4.6 or 4.7 miles in a day. And you can walk a mile in about 15 minutes. So if you take about an hour out of your day and just go walk around, it doesn't matter if it's winter or summer, especially springtime, summer right now, it's the best time to get outdoors and be active. But walk around, clear your mind, think about things, find something new that you haven't found before. Stop. One thing that's really helpful is stop looking backwards. Stop looking at the way things used to be for you, because things are never going to go back to the way they used to be, no matter what your condition, good or bad or indifferent. You are who you are right now in this moment. And I'm just happy that I'm getting stronger and feeling better. I walked 20,000 steps yesterday, and last week in a 7-day period, I walked 123,868 steps. 123,000 plus steps in a week. That's something that I didn't even think was tangible. I was lucky, like I said, to get 10,000 steps. And then for once, a while back, I got 10,000 steps a week straight every day. I'm not saying you need to do this, but this is something for me that has helped focus me positively. And doing all these things, going to talk to my therapist weekly, just doing every single thing. Be your number one advocate. That helps pull a lot of the fear away. Encourage other people. And that's what I'm hoping that these videos will do. And I'm glad that you reached out to me, Nicole. I know that there's always going to be people out there that no matter what you say or how you try to encourage them, they're going to be yeah, but, or I wish type people. You can't really approach life that way, because life is full of so many variables that are beyond control. The only thing that you can control is what you attempt. And even when you attempt things, they don't always pan out the way you hoped. I mean, I could not get my 10,000 steps today, and I have to let it go. I have to be like, okay, well, can't do it today. Get back up tomorrow and do it. You just got to keep picking yourself back up and keep trying. And I think that's key. And to more of your points, feeling weak and breaking down, I'll tell you what, I do that almost every day at some point. It's not every day anymore. It used to be multiple times a day. But I found that the more positive things that I do for myself, and the more that I try to help others, and the more that I love myself and not look for other people to make me happy. Obviously, other people do make me happy. I'm blessed to have a family and a group of friends that love me and love me unconditionally, and I give that love back, and that's what makes my life worth living, is like my brother, my mother, my sister-in-law, their kids, my niece and nephew, my dad, just the people in my life. Those are the people that make it worth living. And even without them, if I was all alone, I would still be happy. It wouldn't be like that movie called This Quiet Earth where you're the last human being alive on Earth. And you know what? If that was the case, I'd probably still try to be happy because I love where I live. I live in Oregon. I love it here. If I didn't live here, I'd live somewhere else that I love to live. Um, because they say it's not where you're at, it's where you are. And I don't know. I hope I'm touching on some of your points. The nightmare thing, that could be some physiological thing. I mean, you could be the most positive person in the world, and then you go to bed at night, and Freddy Krueger comes into your dreams, and you just feel horrid, and you just have so much fear and anxiety that's been lying under the surface for so long. I think that might, if it's not completely physiological, and if it's psychological, I think it could be something. It could have something to do with the fact that maybe you need to vent some of those emotions and feelings and let them out during the day and expend your energy during the day. One thing that helps me feel better throughout the day is making sure I get enough sleep. So having nightmares and feelings of doom probably not going to help you while you're awake. So you'll get stuck in this cycle of having bad dreams and then not feeling very energetic while you're awake, and then it just keeps going through and through and through. So I think that one thing that could help is finding something, if you're able to be physically active, to use your body and mind in a way while you're awake to exhaust yourself positively so that when nighttime comes, you're just ready to sleep and you sleep, just have a nice through the night sleep. Now, this doesn't happen for me all the time either. This is one of the things that I think people like us with brain tumors just have to deal with, especially being on these crazy medications that we're on. I'm on meds that they've prescribed for people that have bipolar disorders, and I'm not a diagnosed bipolar person. I mean, whatever that means. I mean, we all have different facets to our personalities, but I'm not. I know I never used to be so hot and cold until I started taking all of these meds, and now here, it's just something that you have to. There's so many songs that I could reference, like Chumbawamba, I get knocked down, and then I get up again. It's like stuff like that. That's how I feel. Like I just sometimes I think it's okay to be angry at the condition, but I don't think it's healthy to be so angry at something that you can't control that you just let it destroy you. So I think that taking that anger and being like, oh, smiling it right in the face and saying, I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna keep going, and that's all there is to it. You can kick me down, and maybe you'll take over, and maybe you'll grow inside me, but I've chosen to eat well, eat really, really well. I've chosen to, and there's people that are always going to make excuses for anything that you offer to tell them, but you sound like a person that's really putting it all on the line, and you really want to try, and you really want to be happy, because I see that you have these little smiley faces, and you just strike me as a really positive person. So I believe that you can do it. I believe that you can overcome a lot of this stuff. And thoughts of doom and finding it hard to focus. Well, welcome to the club. I put my keys in my refrigerator sometimes. Yesterday I looked around for 2 hours or more for my wallet, and now I have to have a specific system because I've always been scatterbrained. So my Max is going to shut itself down if I don't plug it in. So I'm gonna walk over here. So I know it's like to be scatterbrained, lose things. I lose things all the freaking time. So, welcome to the club there, Nicole. I mean, you got something in your head that's, effing with you. So, you just got to shake it off. I mean, I talk to people that don't even have brain tumors and they experience the same kind of crap. It's just part of being human, too. So, anyways, let me see what else you wrote. Second question. How do you find the strength to keep positive before major tests and MRIs? That's a really good question because, before all these tests, even before the earlier tests that I spoke of when I had to go find out
what they discovered when they biopsied me and were going to give me those results. I was like, yeah, it's no big deal, no problem. And I stay positive, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. But I tell you what, after I get the results, then I lose it at some point. I've gone off, expressed it angrily, had people, um, had somebody that I was dating leave me because I just blew up at her. And you got to realize that it's a really hard thing, not only for you to deal with, but for the people around you because they're scared too, or they're maybe ill equipped to handle what you're going through. And that's why it's so important for you to be strong. But by being strong, that doesn't mean that you can't show weakness and that you can't be afraid, because I'm afraid. I'm scared shitless a lot, but I don't let that run me and what I'm going through. I had to target my energies towards things that I think can really help and things that can really make a difference. So yeah, every time I go in to get tested, I I cry, when I come out, or don't realize it, but I get the test and then I'm okay, because it's a week until I talk to the on-call oncologist, and before he tells me, oh, I should have told you everything's fine. I'm like waiting the whole time for him to tell me. Like, if it was something wrong, he probably would have told me right up front. But since I've been talking to him for about 10 minutes, I'm assuming that nothing has changed from the last test. So um, I've got his undivided attention for that amount of time that I have to talk to him, depending on how busy he is that day. But when I leave, I usually will, go on a walk. I will leave the doctor's office, hospitals, and then I will, put in my earbuds, put on like iTunes or Spotify or whatever on my phone and listen to tunes. Sometimes I'll like listen to Morrissey, and there's this Joan of Arc sculpture. I'll listen around to that, and I'll walk around and I'll sing, about how I'm knowing how Joan of Arc feels, or whatever. I'll listen to something loud. I'll listen to something that's really mellow and relaxing. Sounds of ocean waves. I don't know. It depends. I go through all different types of ways of trying to deal with it every time, and I can't even tell you how important it is having someone to talk to about it. Someone that understands what you're going through and is okay with your anger and frustration and knows that you know you're dealing with something heavy shit, and it's no joke. So you know people that love you will understand you, and I'm sure you have somebody in your life that loves you and understands you unconditionally. And if you don't, get a pet. Have some animal, some creature, something that loves you and understands you. Or comment here, and I'll encourage you, because I believe that you can do it. You just have to be strong. You're your number one advocate. All the doctors and all of the specialists that I've seen, um, I've put in more work than any of them to know specifically what is the deal with my condition and what I need to do for me in order to stay healthy and to be happy. Because if I ain't gonna do it, no one else is gonna do it to that degree, and I am more determined than any of them, because they're all day dealing with people that have issues. Next, and they care. They really sincerely care, and they're really sincerely doing the best that they can because they're the specialists. But they have to work all day with people like us that have issues, and when I leave, I realize that their day is not over. Their day is just in the middle, or just has begun, or maybe it's going to end, but they've been dealing with it all day long. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that you're your number one advocate. You're your number one healthcare provider. You are everything, and you have to remember that you are important, and you are the key to it all. There's no one else that's going to be advocating for you as strongly as you are if you elect to do that. And I hope that you are. It sounds like you were trying. So I support that. The MRI thing, that's a really good question. It's really scary. And, but I just have fun with it as much as I can. I try to have fun with life as much as I can, because life is just a laugh. It's the only one we have. You might as well enjoy it as much as you can. You can but again, I'm not you, and I don't know exactly what you're going through. But I've been through many stages of dealing with this. I've hidden my feelings through clinging to other people that were not equipped to helping me. I was given up at points where I, even despite being on medication, drank, and that was quickly knew that was a bad move. I made a lot of mistakes. I fell down many times. I'm not doubting that I might fall down or could fall down again. Things could get worse. Things could turn worse. I mean, you never know. Like my inspirational, neurologists and doctors have all said to me, you could walk out the street and get hit by a car today, or hit by lightning or whatever. Uh, you don't know. Life's a gift. Every moment's precious. You just have to appreciate it as much as you can, and hopefully you can. Hopefully you can see good in something in your life, and it's it's there if you look hard enough. And but you can't make someone else see it. They have to look hard for themselves. And I encourage you. I think you can do it. Good luck, and I'm not a Trekkie, but it was like live long and prosper. Um, so, oh, you had a last question there that you added at the end. One more question that you had forgotten. What are your seizures like? Mine come to go in almost a panic and fear with the presence of TIA or mini stroke. Yeah, I and thank you too for asking, and a smile to you. Um, it's really hard to explain seizures, especially to someone that has never had one. But to someone that has had one, it can still be difficult, I guess, because I would imagine everybody's nervous system is different and how it affects everyone is different. Since the location of every tumor, some people could have similar locations, different types of tumors, or different types of tumors in similar locations. So for me, I have an oligodendroglioma too. An oligodendroglioma is, there's some malformed cells there, and it affects the oligodendrocytes, which are the nerve casings, the outside of the nerves, and they run down the whole length of your body. So since mine's a left brain, it affects the right side of my body. My right body is my dominant side of my body. It's the side that I write with. It's the side that I, throw with. The side that what else? Oh, other things I do with, I won't mention on here. But um, my seizures sometimes come on as an aura, as they would say, and I was like, "What is that?" It's like a rubbing the orb. What is this? Like a Woody Allen movie? But mine is. It's like I just feel it. It's a combination of, from the way I guess I interpret it and understand it, is like your brain is always having electrical activity happening, and it's always it never stops functioning as long as you're going, and your body's made up of electrical impulses and electrical charges, and it's a real wonder of nature how your body works. But when you're having a seizure, they just start going haywire, right? And so when I feel it started, this disruption beginning to happen, it's like that aura is like, I know it's starting to happen, okay, and it starts to escalate usually. And the thing that happens is like it's the chicken or the egg. It's like, does the fear escalate the anxiety, or does the anxiety escalate the fear sometimes? And I'm like, because I get fearful, I'm like, oh, okay. I hold off a lot of the time before I pop like a benzo to stop it from going on, because those aren't anti-epileptic medications. They're anti-anxiety medications, like the Klonopin and the Ativan. And I really don't like taking them. But what I used to do initially was I'd break off a little piece of an Ativan and take it, and just, damn, I don't want this at all. I don't want to take this crap at all. Um, with TIA or mini stroke, That's a little bit different to me. Like I don't know about the mini stroke, how you'd affect it. Like does your face like start to have some sort of paralysis? The TIA, what she means is a transient ischemic attack, which is a mini stroke. And I have a friend who has that sort of drooping face um, when people have certain have strokes. You just lose the muscle control in your face. So a mini stroke is more accurately characterized as a warning stroke, I guess is what they call it, where people have strokes like they feel like the blockage, something is going on in their arm or something, an extremity. So it's difficult for me to characterize it. It sounds like your seizures, oh, I would put money on it that your seizures are different than mine. But by the same token, it starts off with me having like, okay, my right side of my body starts to go. So okay, sometimes I'm like, I'm limping. I'm trying to limp over to some place, to a safe place. If I'm at work or somewhere where there's all like cement or hardwood or something where I don't want to seize out there, I'll try to get myself in an area where I can sit down if I don't think it's that serious, where I know I can take some benzodiazepines and I can chill through it. Just take a while for it to kick in. Usually I won't, once I'll take up to, and this is the most, 3 milligrams of Ativan will kill most any stroke. Or not stroke, I'm sorry, seizure. I've taken small quantities of high CBD oil, which is cannabis, aka marijuana, but the high CBD, low THC. I avoid THC. That's the cannabinoid in cannabis that gets you high, makes you kind of wig out, makes me feel anxious. So I've been taking small doses of CBD oil, no more than 200 to 300 milligrams a day, and that's spread out in 20 milligram capsules. It's like little coconut infused capsules. But if you burn or cook at high temperatures cannabis into uh, it changes the form of the THC to a more psychoactive form, which I don't really care for. That's why I don't smoke or vape. First of all, I don't smoke because smoking's bad for your body. I don't want to do anything that's bad for my body. Um, I don't use any like sodium lauryl sulfates in my. I did dye my hair, which is bad. That's chemicals, but like that's just to look good. Just kidding. Um, so yeah, typically I don't use anything on my skin. I don't use lotions. I don't do anything. I one thing I strongly believe in is turmeric root. If you get turmeric root powder or turmeric root itself, especially like ginger and other root herbs, you need to use also, which is mixed reviews on whether this is good or not, but like onion and garlic, and I make a tea out of it, and I'll reuse the tea for several days. But it's most potent, obviously, the first time you use it. You add water to it, and you bring it slowly to a boil, and then you drink it like a tea. And before you drink it like a tea, you add some crushed black pepper. I'm not talking about the shaker of the salt and pepper shaker because that's not good enough. But ground peppercorns, or you can just buy bulk pepper, because pepperine is found in pepper, which is a compound that it will raise the body temperature, and it'll also allow um, for it to get into your lymphatic system and into your blood. The turmeric, which contains curcumin, uh, and that is something that's also the other thing that you should throw in with that is a little bit of high density oil at the end. So I'll put in a little bit of coconut oil. Coconut oil, I can't even explain how good it is. I'm talking about the good coconut oil, not coconut butter, not anything, not like coconut water, which is good for you, but coconut oil, like the unrefined coconut oil, is really good stuff. Um, just like a little bit of that in that type of tea and drink it. But back to your question, because the one thing, obviously, that's one of my issues is digression. I digress a lot. I'm already at 45 minutes on this video, and I usually try to keep them shorter, but this one, especially for you, Nicole, and if you haven't fallen asleep or turned off by now, I'll wrap it up. So, yes, I go into panic. My panic, I would characterize as more of a physiological sort of condition. I'm not afraid. Like, I'm not like, oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to fall. I'm afraid that I'm going to bust my head because I've had those things happen to me where I've was on different medications and my seizures would strike really quickly, and before I knew it I couldn't even get to my medication. So now, even though I have more warning to get to them, I always have good old Ativan in my pocket, and that's not recommended by for everybody, just for some people, and I'm not your doctor, so you figure it out. But they'll 1 milligram will usually stop a seizure. 2, most definitely. If it goes worse than that, that's pretty weird. 3, definitely. I haven't gotten any more than that. But different strokes for different folks. No pun intended. Sorry if that was offensive. Uh, what else? So yeah, it's panicky. I go into panic because your body's freaking out. Your brain's going haywire. It's just like it's naturally unnatural that's happening to you. You're trying to normalize something that's not normal. You're trying to cope with something that's keeping you from coping as a functioning normal human. And for me, it's really hard to describe what going through a seizure is like, because it's like one of those things that I could have never described to the me that I am now before I had my seizures. I remember I had my first experience with a seizure one time when I was living down in Eugene, Oregon, and I was working. It was before the crap really hit the fan, before my biopsy, before my initial uh, three grand mal that sent me into the hospital for a while and really got my life changed on this new, anti-epileptic medications and all this stuff. I was sleeping one night and I woke up in the middle of the night, and my right leg, which is, the side of me that's affected by the brain tumor uh, through the seizures, it cramped up, and it just started, seizing, and my body was like starting to seize, and it was like, but it was like more of a. Sometimes my seizures are more physical, like the body feels it hard, and then it hits the brain. Sometimes it hits the brain and then the body. So it all depends. Sometimes I feel it running down my neck. Sometimes I feel it in my leg, down on the calf muscle. So I I had this little seizure, and I mistook it for like a Charlie horse, and I thought, well, it's the Charlie horse, but it's so weird. I've never felt like this sort of like full body and mind sort of thing that's going on with it, and I just went back to bed. And but my seizures used to happen all the time while I was slipping into or out of REM sleep. So when I would go to sleep at night, I would just like go into start seizing and be like, oh goodness, so I think that's why being on the benzodiazepines has curbed a lot of that, because they affect your sleep, and my sleep's been greatly impacted by being on these drugs, uh, for better or worse. I'm sticking it out. I'm toughing it out until they find something that can cure me, and hopefully you will too. And hopefully, even if they don't, they say what I have is incurable, and even if they radiate me and use chemotherapy, that it'll come back. It just will increase the quality of my life. Well, my quality of my life is pretty good right now, so I'm happy. Um, I don't want to subject myself to any of that crap. So, but I'm not saying I won't, because even my friend Will Pye, who inspired me with that book, he holistic everything, and he did radiation and helped him. It gets you through. anyways, everybody's story's different. Everybody has different needs, and there's a lot of complexities and nuances and variables that are involved with a diagnosis. And I hope sincerely that you find what you're looking for, or at least what's manageable for you, and that you can survive, not only survive, but inspire other people. That's the important thing, to know that you are a living, breathing example of potential inspiration to those who are also living with the condition that you're living with. And that's what I try to be. And when I hear from people like Nicole here, who says that she's thankful and she sends me love to me and my family, that touches me deep down in my heart. It makes me feel gratitude that somebody out there who's going through a very tough time and dealing with a very tough condition, because living with brain tumor is not easy. Some people have them and have seizures once in a while, or they take meds and don't have them, haven't had them for years, months. Not all seizures are from brain tumors. Not all brain tumors cause seizures. There's a whole world of different things that it can be. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I try to remind myself that I'm grateful to be here, because I have all my life to die. This is my one chance to live, and I'm going to do it. I mean, the roof could collapse right now in this place. But I am grateful and I am happy, and it's people that shine lights on me in my life. It's my mom telling me that she loves me and is proud of me. Sometimes I'm like, well, what are you proud of, Mom? I'm not able to hold down a job much. I'm not able to do a lot. I'm on disability. I'm living off of welfare. And she's like, I'm proud of you for fighting, and if that's it, she's like, you're also trying to do what you do for the National Brain Tumor Society. You're also not giving up. And, just being alive and under the spell of gravity is a lot. There's people that don't have any conditions, so to speak, and life is a chore. Life is tough sometimes, but it's also a gift and it's a blessing. So as long as we try to remember that and continue to grow and continue to learn, with age comes repetition of circumstances, and hopefully with repetition of circumstances comes knowledge and experience. So unless you have bad memory and then you just keep living the same moment over and over and not realize it. But that's not me yet, and I'll be damned to stop trying. Who knows, though? I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I think the fact that people like Nicole are cognizant of their issues and are seeking answers, that's key, because once you give up, you're left really with nothing at that point. So thank you, Nicole, and thank you to whoever is watching this. It means a lot to me that people care and want to sit through this, because I put a lot of videos up here, and I'm sure the first couple of them people were really, oh, cool, thanks for sharing, you really opened up yourself. And now they're like, oh, he's opening up himself again. Oh, well, maybe we're getting tired of listening to this. But you know what, these videos are mostly for me, I'll be honest. And I don't mean that to sound narcissistic or not, but video journaling or keeping a diary, it's really good for yourself, because once you put something to video, you talk about something, you might not just be inspiring other people, you might be inspiring yourself. And that's the most important thing, is to be important to yourself and to, like I said, be your own best advocate. Once you inspire yourself, you can then inspire others. I guess that's it for now. I'm approaching an hour. I spoke for an hour. Thank you, Nicole, for inspiring me today. You actually are my inspiration for today. And I'm going to go out and walk, and I'm going to go get something nice to eat today. And. All right, thanks for tuning in. If you have any more comments or questions, includes you, Nicole, give me a shout. You can always leave comments on my YouTube page, or you can check out my stateofeuphorbia.com website. As long as it hasn't crashed, that should be up. You can find me on Twitter at stateoeuphorbia or Angel Oregon, and you can also check out, here's all my plugs right here. You can check out, I have a Facebook page, State of Euphorbia, and I have Instagram if you like looking at pictures. It's Cascadian Dark Secret, all one word. I have that and a few other ones. If you're interested, you can contact me. My email address, angelo@brewpublic.com. That's easy enough to remember, or it's Angelo. My last name, Ieso, DEIESO @gmail.com, which would be on my Facebook here, or on my YouTube here. So thanks a lot, y'all. Have a wonderful day. Stay up, stay positive, keep fighting, keep loving. All right. Peace.